Hello, YouTube. It has been a long time since I have uploaded a video to this Funny Chloe Michelle YouTube account. I have been uploading on my other account, Chloe Michelle 1987, but it has been a while since I posted on Funny Chloe Michelle. I've been very busy, and I'm going to explain to you what I've been busy with. I thought this video would be a great way to start off, just introduce everybody to what I've been up to. So, in May 2021, I moved back to Florida. As a lot of you know, I was in Miami for a while, then I moved back to New York, and then I moved back to Florida in May 2021. And I found a new passion in aviation. It was around April 2022, and I met some pilots and I was talking to them, and I got really interested in what's called general aviation, which is like the smaller aircraft that you're seeing me fly right now. And I said I want to learn how to fly, and they directed me to a school where I ended up going to that school. I worked very hard to put myself through school, to train, to study. There's a lot of book learning involved. And in February 2024, I earned my private pilot license. Outside of aviation, the aviation world, all these terms and stuff can get really like confusing. I did my check ride on February 21st. A check ride is like a test, basically a test for a pilot license or a rating. That's why I did my private pilot license check ride on the 21st and became a pilot officially. So this video I took, or my friend Molly, she's sitting next to me, she took it of me this morning. We flew just around St. Johns County, and all I had time for today was 2 laps in what's called a traffic pattern. So a traffic pattern over an airport is a rectangular shape where you just take off, fly, land, take off, fly, land in like loops around the airport. Basically, if you kind of broke and you want to fly, you can go ahead and fly the pattern at not a huge cost. So that's what I did this morning with my friend Molly. And yeah, no, my life has been very different since since I last spoke to you guys and posted a video. Training was really challenging. There were a lot of things I had to get over mentally, emotionally, to be able to wrap my head around all the things that it takes to fly. Aviate, which is fly the plane, navigate, find your way around, communicate, talk to air traffic control, and doing those 3 things at once, learning how to do those 3 things at once did not come easy to me. I spent a lot of time in the beginning I think whereas most people would be more far advanced at 40 hours, I spent a lot of time those first 40 hours just kind of like wrapping my head around all this. And that when I say the reason I even bring up 40 hours is because that's how long it took me to fly solo, alone, with just me and God in the plane for the very first time. That's how long it took. A lot of people will solo like way sooner, but it took me a while. If anybody that knows me in real life knows that I'm very intense, very studious. When I study something and I learn it, and I want to master it, and I want to make sure that I'm doing it exactly by the book. And that was the point I got myself to when I did my first solo. After that, so my first solo was on March 23rd, 2023. There's a lot of other hurdles you have to get through besides soloing to earn a license, a private pilot license. And I jumped all those hurdles, and it was, oh my God, you guys, the last 8 weeks before I did my check ride was the worst 8 weeks that I've ever spent on Earth. It was the most stressful. There's a lot riding on the check ride. There's all the time, money, effort in school. There's also the idea, like, after all this training, do I still suck? Because let me tell you guys, I sucked in the beginning. If any of you are pilots, chew on this. I didn't understand how pitch was related to airspeed for like the first 16 hours. I had no idea. I didn't know what trim was. I was so confused. Everything was so confusing. So there was a lot of like low self-esteem that I had, like, inside my heart and my mind. And, when came, time to prepare for my check ride, it still kind of lingered. I'm like, can I do it? And I trained so hard. Um, and I pulled it off the first time. So every check ride has two components to it. There's the oral, where the examiner will grill you and all the aviation law and aerodynamics and how does the plane work and emergency procedures and all that, maintenance logbooks. And then if you pass that, you get to take the examiner on a flight, and he's considered, or she's considered, your first passenger. So you have to do, there's something called the ACS, the Airman Certification Standards, and you have to do a bunch of maneuvers by ACS, and you have to plan a little trip. It's called a cross country. And you have to show that you planned well, and that you did all the math beforehand, right? Like you knew that you were going to get to this point at this time, and okay, I'm going to get to this point at this time, and you show them that you're able to plan a trip, do pilotage, dead reckoning. There's also a diversion involved in the practical part of the check ride, where he goes or she goes, okay, forget the flight plan, let's go to this airport. And then you end up having to just throw all the stuff in the air, basically, and go to a different airport and do all the landing procedures there. And it's that the diversion part was the most stressful part for me by far, because I'm a planner, and I know that if I was ever in a tight spot and I couldn't get to where I needed to go, that I could get to a different airport. But having to show the examiner that I could do all the quick math and stuff, it was really, I was honestly just like The Walking Dead, because I wasn't sleeping and I wasn't eating, and I was just like thinking about diversions all day and night. But I managed to pull it off. And yeah, so I passed the check ride on February 21st. My examiner, Jay Lawrence, he's known in the area. He's a tough cookie, that guy. But I passed. Immediately, the first thing I did, I was so happy, because this was huge. This was huge for me. I had never thought. I'm from Washington Heights. You guys know me. I'm from the city. I've taken trains most of my adult life. I bought my first car when I was 33. My suburban living, Florida living, that stuff was all kind of new to me in my 30s. So it was like, this was different, and this was huge, and it still is huge. I got my license I earned my license on the 21st. I was so happy. And I get in my car, and the first thing I think is I gotta schedule time in the aircraft. The first thing I need to do is not just party and be excited that I earned my license, but is to actually use it, and all the liabilities, responsibilities, and the privileges of a private pilot license. I'm going to use them. And it started to dawn on me, first couple of flights alone. I'm like, okay, I think I actually know what I'm doing. I think the examiner was right. I'm pretty sure that, because I don't know if this is everyone, but in the beginning, I was so insecure from day one that it took, even after I got my license, a little while for it to wear off. And I had a thought in the back of my head, maybe the examiner, I don't know, maybe he was mistaken, right? So gradually that thought, as I was flying more and more, that thought kind of went away. Right now, I'm about 131 hours into my aviation career. This is my life. This is what I do now. I work at this airport as well, and I actually, it's a crazy story, but I got a job at the airport soon after I did my introductory flight in May, because you do an introductory flight and then you start, at some point in the future. For me, it took me several months to think about it and think about how I was going to pay for it. Anyways, I got a job at that airport, so I live at that airport. Basically, I'm always at that airport. I forget what the hell I was saying, but yeah, I'm training right now for what's called an instrument rating. So, if you're outside of aviation, basically an instrument rating is a rating that's added to a private pilot license or a commercial pilot license, where you are allowed to fly under certain certain low visibility conditions where, I mean, it could be to a point where you can't see anything. And with instrument rating, you can fly under those conditions because you're trained to fly by your instruments, by the instrument panel. That's that panel that's in front of my face right there. And you just look at those and you trust them, and you fly based on what you see there in your instrument panel. That is a whole other level of flying that I, as a private pilot, I'm not used to at all yet. I did a little instrument training when I got my private pilot license, but this is actually getting instrument rated is a huge undertaking, and that's where I'm at right now. Today was just like a fun flight with my friend Molly, who I met in flight school. She's getting her, she'll be a commercial pilot pretty soon. So the road for me now is I'm getting instrument rated, then I'm going to earn my commercial pilot license, and probably CFI, certified flight instructor, and then CF double I, which is that you can train other people to do instruments, to fly by instruments. So the purpose in all that is to build hours, right? Build flight hours, build experience, so that I can have a career in the airlines or in cargo or something. I want to fly jet engine, and the only way to do it is by flying this little piston aircraft. So yeah, here I am flying around. I've been yapping so much. I've just been looking around my room. I haven't even looked at very much the traffic pattern. So I'm flying the pattern here. The pattern was packed today. There were, at my first takeoff, there had to been 10 or 12 aircraft just combination of 10 or 12, like in the pattern, joining the pattern, taking off, landing. At one point I was number 5 to land, which means that there were 5 other aircraft ahead of me. It's just like, oh my God, it was crazy. I was going to go 3 times around, but I didn't have the money this morning to go 3 times around after all that. Because there were so many aircraft in the pattern, I ended up having to go in a huge circle around the ocean. Not around the ocean, but like around the shore. And then just give time for ATC to do their spacing thing, sequencing in people. But yeah, guys, flying is amazing. Flying is definitely this is where I was always meant to be. Like I was getting a master's of social work when I was 22, and I didn't like that at all. I dropped out after 1 semester. I was getting an MFA. I wouldn't even stay 1 semester at Lehman when I was 28. I did not like that. And then just a combination of waiting tables and painting stuff for people. You guys know I'm an artist. I'm a painter, but I have been painting forever, and I want to do something different and something challenging and something cool, and this met all the criteria, all of it. And it's crazy because I fell in love with aviation because I was sick of the traffic and it just seemed really cool, and then it just became about so much more than that, and the love became deeper and deeper and deeper, and the community that you build in aviation is unlike anything else. It's unlike anything else. There's so much camaraderie with the people that, you train around. Like, so basically you go with your instructor in the aircraft. It's you and him or her, right? And that's your person. And then you could have, like my friend here, Molly, her instructor, she has the same instructor as me, but they go on their own in a Cessna. I fly a Piper Warrior. It's a low-wing aircraft. They fly a Cessna. It's a high-wing aircraft. And they go do their thing, and she works on her training with him. I worked on my training with him. When I'm doing my instrument, I'm working with somebody else now, or will be, because I just started the knowledge portion. I haven't started going on instrument flight plans or anything like that yet. But and then you get on the ground and you'll talk and cry and laugh, and it's just amazing camaraderie, and learn together, so much learning that goes on. There's a whole other language that I've learned being a pilot. There's so many things that are just part of my my everyday vernacular now. Talking on the comms is a part of my life, and I'm really, really proud of myself, and I really wanted to show you guys what I've been up to. I enjoy so I do sometimes do accents on the comms because I want to spice it up for air traffic control. So I can do a little. So St. Augustine Tower, November 1528, X-ray, right midfield, downwind 13, inbound for a landing, full stop. And then they just respond back like normal. 1528, X-ray, number 2 for 13, and then clear to land. Number 2, clear to land, 28, X-ray, 13. And they don't even, like, I can do 5 different voices in a plane that carries essentially 2 people, really, because it carries 4, but there's nobody small enough to sit in the back, really. And they're just like, yeah, whatever, just whatever strange circus funhouse is flying around, just, answer back, answer our calls, that's all we ask. But yeah, I enjoy it. See what's going on here. Yeah, the pattern was packed. It was packed. And then it was packed, and I ended up having to go to the edge of the airspace and come back because there was so many people that were coming into land. I came in on like a 4.5 mile final, which is nuts. That's really, really, that's a very long, it was a long downwind. It was a long final. And so here I'm landing right now. And it was like, geez Louise, am I ever, when you do a non-standard pattern like that, like in the beginning, I would just get so like fumbled because there's standards to flying the traffic pattern. You make, first of all, left-handed traffic is standard pattern, and you make a left turn to crosswind at 700 feet, and then you count, one my instructor taught me, you count 3 Mississippis before you make a turn to the downwind, and then you begin your descent amid the threshold point. And when it's not standard, when things are happening, and things are always happening in aviation, that force you to go outside the standards, you got to get really creative. Like now I'm not able to land exactly as I was trained. So now I have to think about landing in another way, in a whole completely creative way. And one of the things I loved about my instructor, and I love my instructor is a wonderful, wonderful guy. He really had a lot of patience and a great sense of humor to deal with me, okay, because I was a challenging student. I really, really was that he taught me to improvise. And because I was very by the book. And he could see that, and he liked that and appreciated it, but at the same time, he was like, Chloe, you gotta learn how to improvise. Here's a situation. What are you gonna do? Here are the tools in your toolkit. How are you gonna use the tools? Right? Like you have this situation right now. It's not going to, you can't go back and make it different. What are we gonna do to make it, to just make it good, Land the plane. That's all you have to do is land a plane and do it without incident, right? Land it, taxi back, tie it up, and nice and normal flight, right? And oh God, when I started, I was so in the books that I couldn't do that. I was like, no, because there was someone ahead of us, and we had to like turn to base at like a mile and a half out. How am I supposed to land like this? He's like, improvise. He's like, feel it out, feel the plane. And now I do feel the plane. I can get like an intuitive, I have like with the way I drive, I could just I don't need necessarily to look at the airspeed indicator to know if I'm a little fast or a little slow. I could kind of feel it, and so I don't have to stare at the gauges as much as I thought I did in the beginning, because after a while you do get a feel for it. Let me think of some stories that I could possibly have for you while I'm stalling. Haha, no pun intended. As I think about things that I can tell you, there are so many stories I have from the last 2 years that I've been involved in this. from when I took my discovery flight until like right now, right? So let me think what I can tell you. Um, I had a few incidents. My instructor and I had smoke coming out of the cowling when I was about 21 hours deep into my training. Oh, I was upset. We we treated it totally normal. We were like, "Oh, there's a fire in the cowling. Let's go back." And we were both really professional about it. He was still really new to teaching. I was still really new to aviation and period. But all I knew, he was 13 years younger than me. All I knew from my old age was that the worst thing to do would be to freak out. So I said, "Hey, we're going to be fine. We're going back to the airport. We're going to land." As soon as we landed, I just was like, ah! Because all of that stress and stuff inside, right? Like you just want to explode. But yeah, that was not pleasant. When I really think back to those moments with him, we were about 11 miles from the airport when that happened. We just went for, I think we were going for it was a night flight. I don't know what we were doing, but yeah, it was not pleasant. On my second ever solo, um, I had a panic attack. So embarrassing. Guys, there was nothing wrong. And I just started freaking out for no reason at all. I don't, to this day, I don't get it. I took off and my heart was racing, right? My first solo was not even this bad. I take off, right? I remember now. I take off. I was already nervous. Fucking crazy nervous. I had a lot of hours by that time. I was like 50 hours in. And I came into land. This is what happened. I came into land and I porpoised, which meant that the nose wheel touched the ground before the landing gear. And what happens when you do that, especially if you come with a lot of airspeed, you'll start to go up and down and up and down, and you land, and then you're airborne again. You land, and it's freaky, and it feels like time is bending. It's the weirdest thing to porpoise. It was the only time I ever did that. And I went full power, and I went around. So that's what you have to do in situations like that. And I called up a tower, and I was in 43080. I said, "St. Augustine Tower, November 43080. I am so sorry. I have to go around." And I'm like apologizing, which is ridiculous because you don't need to apologize to go around. And it was Teresa. She's the air traffic controller, and she said, "Okay, 43080. We got, we see you." And she was so nice. And then I said to her, what the fuck did I say? I said, "I really want to talk to my instructor." Yeah. I have no idea. It was so embarrassing. Air traffic control got my instructor on the freaking comms. And all I said to him, I'm on the downwind going like 120 knots, which is not, that's way too fast. 90 is the appropriate speed. And I said, I said, "Mason, November 4th, his name is Mason, November 43080, I'm really nervous." That's all I said. And he goes, "Don't be nervous, fly the plane." And it was like magic, him saying those words to me, because I had listened to every single thing he ever said. So as soon as he said, "Don't be nervous, fly the plane," I went, okay. And that was it. That was all I did. And I landed normally. And I taxied back. And I thought when I taxied back, there was no way anybody could convince me in that moment to like go a third time around the pattern. But I thought that there was nothing wrong except for your own thoughts telling you that there was something wrong, self, like, "Hey self, what the fuck," and from that was the day when I realized, Chloe, you have to be your own best friend. When you fly alone, you have to be your own best friend. And from that day forward, I started to I talk to myself in a plane all the time when I'm alone. Today I wasn't alone, but if I were alone, you would have seen me yapping to myself, because that's how I get through that awkward feeling that comes about when you say to yourself, "I am flying an airplane alone." Like, those words are really, really like poison when you first start, and they would just come up in my head because it was such a novelty, and it would almost be inevitable. And then, but now to knowing that I might think that, or that might freak me out, which it doesn't doesn't really anymore, but it can. It's certainly, if it's been like 7 days or more that I haven't flown, I'll just go, okay, we're going, going back to procedures. We're doing a climb checklist: powerful power, mixture full rich, instruments in the green, taxi landing light off, flight plan open, fuel pump off, pitching for 76 knots, VY, and just keep on going through the procedures. Once are 50 feet from your desired cruising altitude, level her off, go through the cruising checklist, and, you know, talk to yourself. Say the things that are logical, that you need to hear, that are, appropriate, that are task oriented. And then, I think I'm about to land here. Finally, I could. I'm gonna. Yeah, the video ends soon. Task oriented, and then you can start to get to like the wheels of the bus turn round and round, because it does. Then once you get good at like training your brain to be your own best friend, then it can get boring, because then you're just cruising and flying, and you're like, start like, listening to music in your head, because you can't. Well, I don't have a Bose headset. I can't listen to music on those headphones. Anyway, I'm babbling, yapping, talking to you guys. Landing. They're both pretty good landings. Put those flaps down, taxi up the runway. Yeah, short little flight around Northeast Florida Regional Airport today. It's a good one. So yeah, guys, this is what I've been up to. Yeah, I'm uploading a lot of aviation videos on Chloe Michelle 1987. So if you want to go ahead and subscribe to that channel, you'll get more of those kinds of videos. Yeah, I can't say I won't be a stranger, because I've got a lot going on right now. So I can't promise anything in terms of comedy videos at the moment. But yeah, I wanted to let you know what I've been doing. This is me at 36. I think you guys met me when I was 22. Oh, wow. God. All right. I'm fixing the trim. And if there's any aviators, any pilots in my audience, please let me know that you're there. Maybe we could do some time building together. That would be good. We could fly together. I need to build a lot of time for my commercial license. I had a lot of fun with my girl this morning. We were talking in Spanish. She's from Mexico. She's the best. So much fun to fly with her. All right, guys. Talk to you later. Bye.